I just wanted my child to be born like in my own home, whereby she could feel more welcomed.
25-year-old 𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 and her husband 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 were expecting their first baby in February this year, and they wanted a home delivery with a midwife.
Yeah, my mother is a midwife. Midwife is a work of bringing lives to earth. They are respected people.
While they were searching for the right midwife, the couple were introduced to this woman, Caitlin Collins. They were told she is a renowned midwife within the Cape Town home birthing community and would offer them a peaceful and safe home delivery.
Hey pregnant mama, I want you to know that you are a wise and beautiful woman.
At 4 months pregnant, Ernie started seeing Collins for her monthly prenatal checkups.
On those 6 or so occasions that she came to check up on you, what was she doing?
She could just come with a stethoscope and check on my baby's heartbeat. And she could press my tummy just to feel it.
But she used to struggle to get the heartbeat.
According to experts, as their midwife, Collins should have been checking Ernie's blood pressure, doing regular urine tests, and she should have advised the couple to do a 26-week scan, which, according to them, she never did.
She told me that she would do all the necessary things which are supposed to be done.
Ernie and 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 believed that Collins was a legitimate midwife, so they trusted her. 39 weeks became 40, and then 43. Ernie was concerned, but she says Collins reassured her that her baby would be fine.
She said it's normal for the first-time mother to be overdue.
According to Angela Wakeford, who has been a private midwife for over 29 years, this was not within midwifery protocols and a dangerous decision for Collins to have made.
That was a very overdue long pregnancy. 42 weeks at the latest you should be referring in.
And what are those dangers of leaving a woman pregnant to 43 weeks?
The danger is the increased risk of stillbirth.
Ernie went into labor on the 13th of February at 6 p.m. and at around 8 p.m. they called Collins, who promised to arrive soon. But she only showed up at midnight, at which point Ernie was in excruciating pain.
She switched off the lights and then she slept. Then around 2 a.m. that's when my sac came out. So she switched on a torch and checked on me and she was like, this is the sac, that means the baby is coming at any minute. Then she slept again.
Ernie says when her sac came out, Caitlin went and slept. Now, what should have actually happened?
Well, she was obviously in very active labor at that stage. So she should have had monitoring of labor, checking on her, listening to heartbeat, doing a vaginal examination to assess whether she's still in first stage of labor or ready to push. She would have then found that the baby was in a breech position.
At around 5 the next morning, 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 woke Collins again to say enough is enough and something needs to be done to help his wife.
That's when she realized that the baby food was coming out. Then she was like, you know what, guys, this is what is called breech labor, and I've never delivered such a situation. I can't handle this.
As a breech baby with her feet coming out first, Ernie and 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀's daughter was in danger of asphyxiation due to a cord prolapse, which is when the umbilical cord is constricted during labor, cutting off the baby's oxygen supply.
Then she was like, we need to wait. Maybe it will fully come out. That's when my husband said, no, there's no way we have to wait. We need to take Ernie to the hospital.
And at this point, you've got baby's foot coming out of you.
Collins then drove Ernie and 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 to Retreat, a state midwife obstetric unit. She dropped them at the front door and told them not to mention her name or that they were doing a home birth.
At that point, what should have Caitlin done?
Transferred her straight to 𝗶𝗶𝘀 maternity.
And instead?
She took her to a midwife obstetric unit.
Wouldn't she have known that that is not the correct place to take Ernie?
She should have.
At Retreat, they confirmed that the baby's cord had prolapsed, and while they waited for an ambulance to transfer Ernie to 𝗶𝗶𝘀 Maternity Hospital, the largest dedicated maternity hospital in South Africa, the nurses confirmed that baby's heartbeat had stopped.
My baby stopped breathing. I realized that I won't have my baby anymore.
Only once their babies were dead were 𝗀𝗵𝗀 and Ernie informed that they were expecting twins. Their daughter had died during labor and their son at least 24 hours earlier.
The brother died before the labor started, so he gave up life to his sister.
Yeah.
Ernie and 𝗀𝗵𝗀 had lost their twins, which at this point they believed was an unavoidable consequence of natural labor. That was until they were informed that these were not the first babies to die in Colin's care. 2 other babies had died in 2020 and 2021.
In order to legally practice as a midwife in this country, you have to be registered with a regulatory body, the South African Nursing Council.
In 2011, Collins received a certificate as a certified professional midwife through the North American Registry of Midwives, but she never registered with the South African Nursing Council, making her practice illegal. Collins speaks candidly about operating outside of the law in this podcast interview done with the Free Birthing Society.
The South African Nursing Council seems to have like a say over who calls themselves a midwife and who doesn't. So they basically own that word, which is just insane.
According to her numerous social media posts as a midwife, Collins seems to believe in the sovereignty of birth and that women can birth instinctively without any medical intervention.
When I started my own practice, it's like I didn't do these things like vaginal exams.
In 2015, Collins and a colleague started a home birthing practice called 𝗀𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗆. After 2 babies died under their care, the private midwives in Cape Town, including Angela Wakeford, called a meeting, and it was here that Collins explained what happened with the first baby that passed in 2020.
All I know is that she had ruptured membranes for a week. That means the waters had broken.
When a woman's water breaks, the amniotic fluid that is vital to keeping the fetus safe is released, and labor will normally take place within 24 hours. But with every passing day, the risk of infection getting into the uterus and infecting the baby drastically increases.
If this was a mom-to-be that you were looking after, how would you have prevented that?
I would have referred her into hospital after 24 hours. That's the protocol.
The second baby that passed in 2021 was primarily under the care of Collins' colleague. According to our source, the baby went into distress and its fetal heart rate dropped. But due to a lack of communication, the mom was transferred in too late and the baby passed.
Why weren't they stopped?
We didn't have the authority to stop them. They're not registered with the council. I don't know if the council could do anything.
When we contacted the South African Nursing Council for an interview, it declined. And even though it is the regulatory body for midwives in South Africa, it stated it was unable to investigate unregistered midwives.
I'm really actually amazed that I managed to navigate that kind of playing the game, but not playing the game for as long as I did. It ended up a year ago being investigated by the Department of Health.
It was the doctors at 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗶𝘀 Maternity Hospital that filed an official complaint about Collins and the Circle of Elephants to the Western Cape Department of Health in 2021. After this complaint, that department issued them a warning to stop practicing and register with the South African Nursing Council.
How did the investigation whole thing go?
So it was pretty much around the fact that we don't carry drugs and that's dangerous. Yeah, so it was that, and it was also, they said, because you allow women to do what they want to do in birth, you're a threat to their safety. Yeah, that was the crux of it. And so we did stop our practice in July.
In November 2021, Collins posted this video on her Instagram, again expressing her contempt for the law and the modern medical world.
You say I am dangerous because I trust birth. I see you are scared. You think you are saving women. You think that you are doing what's best. Have you ever taken a moment and asked yourself, am I doing no harm?
Collins never stopped practicing. In certain circles, she started calling herself a birth keeper. which she says is someone that holds space for women laboring at home, but offers no medical intervention. But to Ernie and Chifundo, they trusted her as their midwife.
We're having kind of a guiltiness in ourselves. Like why we kept going with her when our babies were talking to us.
Their babies were dead, and the woman they had trusted to deliver them safely was nowhere to be seen. A few days after their deaths, Chifundo confronted Collins about abandoning them at the hospital.
You acted like you just gave us a lift. You just want to drop us, then you go your way.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed into the hospital.
Right?
Part of in the whole world at the moment that the Western medical hospitals, they aren't willing to work with midwives. Again, I say I'm sorry. I tried the best I could, wasn't good enough for me.
Mowbray Maternity Hospital declined to speak to us, but Wakeford shared this report detailing Mowbray's findings into Ernie and Chifundo's twins' deaths. It is evident in this case that Ms. Collins lacked the training and skill necessary to identify and safely manage the risk factors that made this pregnancy high risk. Additionally, it is unacceptable that she never examined Mrs. Chirwa in labor.
In your experience, Angela, for Caitlin to have had 3 deaths in just a space of 18 months, is that high?
It is a high statistic.
What would be, on average?
In the registered midwife home birth community in Cape Town, over the last 20 years, there have been 2 baby deaths, and both of those times it was unavoidable.
Sure, that puts it into perspective.
After numerous attempts to reach Collins, we went with Chifundo to try and get some answers from her directly.
Yes, Catherine, it's me, Chifundo here. I want to talk to you. Would you mind to come outside here?
I'm not going to come outside.
After Collins refused to come out, her husband arrived.
We'd like to speak to Caitlin Collins.
Yeah, she has said that she can't talk to you.
We just want to know, she's still birthing babies, and we want to know what happened in Chifundo and Ernie's case.
Chifundo and Ernie do know exactly what.
No, we would like to know. We're doing an investigation.
I'm not gonna comment.
4 babies have died under Caitlin's care, right?
Please.
I'm talking to you, I'm saying to you, your wife is continuing with birthing babies, even though she's been told by the Department of Health to stop. What makes her believe that she's above the law? This is midwifery. You're sorry now. Now you're sorry that he's lost his twins after being negligent, after telling them they're not carrying twins.
Collins never came down to answer to us or Chifundo,
Hey, Caitlin! Caitlin!
which was extremely painful for him. The family has subsequently opened a case with the South African Police Services. The Western Cape Department of Health has also put a multidisciplinary team together to investigate Collins' practices.